Ethan Keller was only 16 years old. He was a bright boy who loved computers and spent most of his time creating new programs. His father, David Keller, was the United States Attorney General. Ethan dreamed of making the world better with his inventions. But his life changed in a moment that no one could expect. One morning, Ethan woke up to loud noises outside his house. Police officers in serious faces came and took him away. They said he was accused of a crime he did not commit. The news spread fast. People talked about Ethan being involved in a big cybercrime that hurt many people. But Ethan knew the truth. He was innocent. The courtroom was crowded with reporters and people who wanted to see what would happen. The judge was strict and did not seem interested in listening carefully. The evidence was weak and unclear, but the judge decided to give Ethan a life sentence. Life in prison. Everyone was shocked. Ethan's mother cried quietly. His friends could not believe it. But Ethan stayed calm. He looked around the courtroom and saw the worried faces of his family. He thought about what to do next. Then he took out his phone. He knew only one person could help him now, his father, the Attorney General. Ethan dialed his father's number, carefully. The phone rang twice before David Keller answered. "Dad, it's me, Ethan," he said quietly. David's voice was full of surprise and concern. "Ethan, what is happening? Why are you calling from prison?" Ethan explained the situation. Fast. "Dad, they sent me to prison. I am innocent." The judge did not listen. "Please help me." David's heart sank. He knew the court was powerful, but he did not believe in injustice. "Stay calm, Ethan. I will find out what is going on. I promise you I will do everything to help you." That phone call started a journey that would change everything. David was not just the Attorney General. He was also a father who would fight for his son. He knew this was not a normal case. Someone wanted Ethan to suffer. Someone wanted to hide the truth. David started to look at the trial closely. He saw that the judge acted fast and did not allow many questions. The lawyers for the defense did not have time to explain or show evidence that proved Ethan was innocent. The whole trial seemed like a show, not justice. David met with his team of trusted investigators. They started to search for mistakes or signs of something wrong. They checked the evidence, the videos, the reports. Soon, David found strange things. Some evidence was missing. Some witnesses said different things when they talked to his team. David also found out that the judge had links to a powerful tech company. This company was very interested in keeping control over technology in the country. Ethan had recently created a new program that could change how people use the internet. This program could help many people and make the internet safer, but it could also take power away from big companies. David understood that Ethan's invention was a threat to this company. Maybe this was the real reason behind the unfair trial. Someone wanted to stop Ethan before his program could become popular. Someone wanted to keep control, even if it meant destroying an innocent boy's life. While David worked hard to find the truth, Ethan was alone in the prison. The place was cold and scary. He met many prisoners who had stories of their own. Some were there for crimes they did not do. Ethan listened and learned how to stay strong. He knew he must not give up. Ethan used his skills quietly. He watched the guards and learned the prison's rules. He noticed small things that others missed. At night, he found a way to use a small device he had hidden to send messages outside. He hoped his father would get the messages and hurry. Back. Outside, David never stopped. He talked to journalists and human rights groups. He asked them to watch Ethan's case. The public started to pay attention. Many people wrote letters and shared messages online, asking for justice for Ethan. The judge and the tech company began to feel pressure, but they did not stop trying to keep Ethan locked away. They sent more lawyers to fight David's team. They tried to hide the truth again. One day, David found a secret video. It showed how the evidence against Ethan was changed. It showed people who lied in court. It showed the judge talking with the tech company leaders before the trial. This video was the key to proving Ethan's innocence. David knew this video could save his son, but to use it, he had to be very careful. The tech company was powerful and dangerous. David planned a way to reveal the truth slowly and safely. At the same time, Ethan met a prisoner named Marcus. Marcus was tough but fair. He had once been a hacker who used his skills to fight against unfair laws. Marcus saw the truth in Ethan's eyes. He decided to help him. Together, they worked on ways to send more proof outside. Ethan's hope grew stronger. He was not alone anymore. He had his father fighting for him and new friends who believed in justice. He knew that the road ahead was hard, but he was ready. The unfair trial was only the beginning. Soon, the hidden battle between truth and power would come to light. The world would see the courage of a boy and the strength of a father. They would see how justice could win, even in the darkest moments. David Keller sat in his office late at night. The room was quiet except for the soft hum of his computer. He looked at the files on his desk. The more he read, the more he felt a deep worry. Something was very wrong in Ethan's case. The trial was not fair. The judge did not do his job honestly. But why? What was the reason behind this injustice? David knew he could not trust everyone. Some people in the government were afraid of the powerful tech company. This company made a lot of money and controlled important technology that many people depended on. If Ethan's new invention became public, it could change everything. It could take away the company's power and force it to change its rules. David decided to keep his investigation secret. If the company knew he was looking into them, they might try to stop him. He called his closest team of trusted investigators. These were honest people who wanted to find the truth. Together, they started to dig deeper. The team worked day and night. They checked court records, watched security videos, and talked to people who knew about the trial. They looked for any signs of cheating or pressure on the judge. Soon they found strange messages between the judge and some leaders in the tech company. These messages showed the judge was under pressure to give a harsh sentence to Ethan. David felt angry, but kept calm. He knew anger would not solve anything. He needed proof that everyone could see and understand. Then justice would be forced to act. Meanwhile, Ethan was learning to survive inside the prison. He met other young prisoners who had lost hope. Some of them had been in prison for many years. Ethan wanted to show them that hope was not lost. He shared small stories about his life before prison and the ideas he had for the future. One prisoner, Marcus, listened carefully. Marcus was older and had once worked as a computer expert. He understood technology well. Marcus said, "You have a strong mind, Ethan. But here, strength alone is not enough. We need a plan." Ethan and Marcus began to talk quietly every day. They shared ideas and watched the guards. They found small ways to use the prison's old computers. Ethan's skills were useful. He taught Marcus how to find weaknesses in the prison system. Marcus taught Ethan how to protect himself from danger. Outside the prison, David met with his lawyer team. They prepared to challenge the judge's decision. But David knew the court system could be slow. He needed to act carefully and quickly. David also reached out to a few honest reporters. These reporters worked for newspapers and news channels that cared about justice. David shared some of his findings with them, but only small parts. He did not want to give away everything before he was ready. The reporters started writing articles about unfair trials and the importance of truth. They asked the public to pay attention to cases like Ethan's. Many people began to wonder if justice was really being served. One day, David received a secret message. It was from an unknown source, but the information was clear. Someone inside the tech company wanted to help. This person had proof of the company's involvement in the trial and was willing to share it safely. David was careful, but hopeful. He arranged a secret meeting in a quiet place. There, a man handed over a small data drive. It contained emails, videos, and documents that showed how the tech company had influenced the judge. It also showed that some evidence against Ethan was changed or removed. This proof was very strong. David felt a new energy inside him. He knew now that he could fight not only for Ethan, but for all the innocent people who might be trapped by lies and power. At the prison, Ethan was not idle. With Marcus's help, he found a hidden way to use a small device to send encrypted messages outside. These messages were short but important. He told his father about the prison life, the unfair trial, and his hope to prove innocence. One message said, "I am safe. I am ready to fight. Please keep trying." David received the messages and felt relief. His son was strong and brave. He promised himself that he would not stop until Ethan was free. However, the tech company noticed the growing attention. They started to use their power to fight back. They sent more lawyers and even tried to bribe some officials. They wanted to block any attempts to reopen the case. David stood firm. He knew this was a battle for the future. If he gave up, many others would suffer like Ethan. He worked with government officials who believed in justice. Together, they planned to expose the truth to the public. David also prepared to use the secret data drive in court. He wanted to show the video proof and emails to everyone, but the day to reveal it was not yet here. He needed more time to protect Ethan and the people helping them. Back in prison, Ethan found new strength. Marcus became like a brother to him. They shared dreams of a better future, where truth and fairness ruled. Ethan believed his father would bring justice. The unfair trial was only the first step in a bigger story. Behind the courtroom walls, a hidden fight was growing. A fight between truth and lies, power and justice, hope and fear. David and Ethan were ready. They knew the path ahead was hard and dangerous, but they believed that no darkness could hide the light of truth forever. David Keller sat in his office, staring at the glowing screen. The evidence he had collected was shocking. The tech company was not only involved in the unfair trial, but also hiding a bigger plan. They wanted to control more than just technology. They wanted to control people's lives. David knew that Ethan's invention was the key to everything. The program Ethan created could make the internet safer and more open. It could protect people's privacy and stop companies from spying. This was a threat to the tech company's power and money. That was why they wanted Ethan silenced. David called a secret meeting with his closest team. "We are not fighting just for Ethan," he said. "We are fighting for the future of this country. We must stop this company from destroying justice and freedom." The team worked day and night to understand the full plan. They found out the company used fake news and bribed officials to control courts. They also created secret software to spy on citizens. If they succeeded, people would lose their freedom without knowing. David's heart was heavy. The power of the company was enormous. But he also felt hope. People who loved justice were starting to stand up. Many government workers and honest reporters wanted to help. Meanwhile, inside the prison, Ethan kept his mind sharp. He knew his survival depended on more than just patience. He had to act. With Marcus's help, he learned to hack small systems in the prison. They found ways to gather information that could help prove his innocence. One day, Ethan discovered a weakness in the prison's security system. Using his skills, he sent a secret message to his father with detailed information about how the tech company was trying to stop him. The message was short but clear. "The fight is bigger than us. We need the world to see the truth." David received the message and felt a surge of determination. He knew Ethan was counting on him. He promised himself to use every power he had to expose the conspiracy. David also reached out to allies in the government. Some were afraid at first. They worried about the power of the company. But David convinced them that the truth must come out. Slowly, a team of brave officials formed, ready to challenge the company's control. The tech company, however, did not wait. They used their influence to launch attacks against David and his team. They spread false rumors and tried to block media coverage. They even sent private security to threaten those who spoke out. David and his team stayed strong. They knew fear was part of the battle. They prepared for a public fight that would change the country. At the same time, Ethan met a new friend inside prison. Her name was Lila. She was smart and kind. Lila was in prison because she tried to help others fight against unfair rules. She believed in justice, just like Ethan. Ethan and Lila shared stories about their hopes and fears. Together with Marcus, they planned to gather more evidence from inside the prison. They worked quietly, knowing the risks. One night, Ethan sent another secret message. This time, it was a detailed report about the tech company's plans and the judge's role in the trial. David read it carefully and knew the moment to act was coming. David arranged a meeting with the press. He decided to reveal the secret evidence in a careful way to protect everyone involved. The news spread quickly. People began to talk about the corruption and the power of the tech company. Public opinion started to change. People demanded answers. The government had to act. The judge was asked to explain his decisions. The court system opened a new investigation. Back in prison, Ethan felt hope for the first time in a long while. He knew his father was fighting hard. He believed justice could win. The battle between truth and power was growing stronger. David, Ethan, and their allies were ready to face the coming challenges. They knew the road was difficult, but they would not stop until justice was done. Inside the cold walls of the prison, Ethan Keller faced a new challenge every day. The place was harsh and unforgiving, but Ethan had something stronger than fear. He had hope and a sharp mind. Every morning, he woke up ready to face the day. Prison was not easy. Many prisoners were tough and had been through hard times. Ethan met some who did not trust anyone, but he did not lose his calm. Instead, he showed kindness and respect. Slowly, some prisoners began to see him as different. They saw a boy who was strong not only in body but in spirit. One prisoner named Marcus became Ethan's closest friend. Marcus was older and had once used computers to fight unfair laws. He respected Ethan's intelligence and courage. Together, they shared ideas and helped each other survive. Ethan's days were full of small battles. He learned the prison's rules and routines. He watched the guards carefully. He noticed little things that others missed. These small details were important. They helped Ethan plan. At night, when the prison was quiet, Ethan worked on something secret. He had a small device hidden. Using it, he sent coded messages outside. These messages were his way to reach his father, David. He told David about what was happening inside and asked for help. Ethan also started to use his computer skills to explore the prison's old systems. He looked for ways to find proof of his innocence and the corruption behind his case. It was risky. If the guards found out, he could lose everything. But Ethan was careful. One day, Ethan faced danger. Some prisoners did not like his calm and strength. They tried to threaten him, but Ethan did not back down. He talked to them quietly and honestly. He told them his story and why he needed to fight. His words touched some of them. Slowly, the tension disappeared. Ethan also found help from a prisoner named Lila. Lila was smart and kind. She had been locked up for trying to help others. She believed in justice and fairness. Lila and Ethan became friends. They shared hopes and plans. Together with Marcus and Lila, Ethan worked on ways to gather more information. They found ways to listen to guards' talks and watch for new clues. They were careful to keep their plans secret. Outside, David Keller worked harder than ever. He knew Ethan was brave and needed him. David used the secret data and messages to prepare a strong case. He met with government officials who believed in justice. They formed a plan to fight the tech company and the corrupt judge. David also spoke to the media. He told them about the unfair trial and the hidden conspiracy. People began to understand that this was not just about one boy. It was about truth and fairness for all. The tech company tried to stop David. They sent lawyers to block him. They spread false stories about Ethan and his family. But David stayed strong. He knew the power of truth. Back in prison, Ethan's courage inspired others. Some prisoners began to ask questions about their own cases. They wanted to believe in justice, too. Ethan became a quiet leader. One night, Ethan sent a special message to David. It had new proof about the tech company's plans. This message was a turning point. David knew the time had come to act openly. David prepared for a public reveal. He gathered all the evidence and made a clear plan. He wanted to show the world the truth and free his son. Ethan waited patiently. He knew the fight was not over, but he also knew that justice was close. The story of Ethan Keller was no longer just about a boy in prison. It was about a battle between courage and corruption, truth and lies. David Keller stood in front of the cameras. The room was full of reporters, microphones, and bright lights. The whole country was watching. David knew this moment was important. He was not just the United States Attorney General anymore. He was a father fighting for his son and for justice. David spoke clearly and with confidence. He told the truth about Ethan's case. He explained how the trial was unfair and how the judge had been influenced by a powerful tech company. He showed parts of the secret evidence, emails, videos, and documents that proved the corruption. The reporters listened carefully. The public began to understand the story. People were shocked. Many had believed the news about Ethan before. Now, they saw a different side. They saw a boy who was innocent and a system that needed to change. David's speech created a wave of support. People sent letters and messages to the government asking for justice. Human rights groups joined the cause. They demanded that Ethan's case be reopened and that the corrupt judge be removed. But the tech company was not silent. They fought back hard. They used their lawyers to try to block the investigation. They spread rumors to confuse people. They tried to make David look weak and dishonest. David expected these attacks. He had prepared for this fight. He worked with his team to answer every question and expose every lie. He stayed calm and focused. He knew that truth was on his side. In the prison, Ethan heard about his father's speech. For the first time, he felt hope like a bright light in the darkness. He shared the news with Marcus and Lila. They smiled and believed that freedom was coming. Ethan kept working on his secret messages. He sent updates to David about what was happening inside the prison. He also shared new evidence he had found about the tech company's plans. David used this information to build a stronger case. He met with judges and lawmakers who believed in justice. They began the process to reopen Ethan's trial. The court system was under pressure to act quickly and fairly. At the same time, David's team worked to protect Ethan and those helping him. They knew the tech company might try to do more harm. Security was increased around the prison and for David's family. The tech company's leaders held secret meetings. They planned new ways to stop David and keep control, but their power was slowly breaking. People were no longer afraid to speak out. One day, a new witness came forward. This person had worked inside the tech company and saw the lies and corruption. The witness agreed to help David's team and share the truth. With the new witness's help, David's case became stronger. The evidence showed clearly how the judge had been paid to sentence Ethan unfairly. The judge was also found hiding important documents from the court. The government took action. The judge was removed from his position and investigated. The court reopened Ethan's trial with new evidence. David spoke again to the public. He thanked the people who stood for justice. He promised that the truth would win and that no one would be above the law. Back in prison, Ethan waited for the day of the new trial. He stayed strong and hopeful. Marcus and Lila stood by his side. They knew this was the beginning of a new chapter. The fight was not over, but the tide was turning. David and Ethan were closer to justice than ever before. Their story inspired many people who believed in truth and fairness. The world was watching, and the battle for justice was reaching its peak. The day of the new trial finally arrived. The courtroom was filled with tension and hope. People from all over the country watched closely. This was not just a trial about one boy, it was a test of truth and justice for everyone. Ethan Keller sat quietly, his hands folded. He looked calm, but inside, his heart was full of hope. His father, David, was there, standing strong and ready. The new lawyers were prepared to show the real story. The judge, new and fair, opened the trial carefully. The evidence that had been hidden before was now presented clearly. Videos showed the secret meetings between the corrupt judge and the tech company leaders. Emails proved the lies and threats made to influence the trial. The new witness told the court what they saw inside the tech company. They spoke honestly and bravely about the corruption. Their words moved many people in the courtroom. David spoke clearly about the unfair trial and the hidden plans to control technology and silence Ethan. He showed how Ethan's invention could help the world, and why some wanted to stop him. The courtroom was quiet as the truth came out. The jury listened carefully. They saw the evidence and understood the injustice Ethan had suffered. Outside the courtroom, reporters waited eagerly. The news spread fast. People were hopeful that justice would be served. As the trial continued, more evidence was revealed. Ethan's innocence became clear. The tech company's role in the corruption was undeniable. The judge who had sentenced Ethan unfairly was shown to have broken the law. After days of careful listening, the jury made their decision. Ethan was found innocent. The sentence was canceled. The crowd outside the courthouse cheered. Ethan was free. David smiled with relief. He hugged his son tightly. Ethan's friends, Marcus and Lila, stood nearby, happy and proud. The victory was more than just for Ethan. It was a win for truth, justice, and the people who believed in fairness. The government promised to make changes. They would stop the tech company from having too much power. New laws were planned to protect people's rights and make sure no innocent person would suffer like Ethan again. Ethan's invention was now recognized as a tool for good. Many people wanted to help him develop it further. It was a new beginning. After the trial, Ethan returned home. He was welcomed by his family and many supporters. His story inspired others to stand up against corruption and fight for justice. David continued his work as Attorney General, stronger than before. He knew the fight for truth never ends. But now, he had seen that courage and hope could change the world. Ethan worked hard on his invention. He wanted to make the internet safer and better for everyone. His dream was alive again. The story of Ethan Keller showed that no matter how dark the world may seem, truth and justice could shine bright. A young boy's courage and a father's love had changed the course of many lives. Ethan Keller stood at the doorstep of his family home. The sunlight warmed his face, and the air was fresh. After many long months, he was finally free. The walls that once kept him locked inside cold cells were behind him now. But the fight for justice had changed him forever. David Keller, his father, and the United States Attorney General was waiting with open arms. They embraced with a strength that said more than words could. This moment was not just about Ethan's freedom. It was about truth, courage, and hope for everyone who believed in fairness. The news of Ethan's release spread quickly. People celebrated the victory. Many said this was a sign that justice could win even against great power and corruption. Ethan became a symbol of hope for those who felt powerless. At home, Ethan's mother prepared a warm meal. The family gathered around the table, sharing smiles and quiet happiness. Ethan's friends, Marcus and Lila, joined them. They had stood by Ethan through the darkest times and now shared in the joy of new beginnings. David spoke to the media about the reforms that would follow. He promised that no innocent person would suffer like Ethan again. New laws would protect privacy and stop unfair influence in courts. The tech companies' power would be limited, and their wrongdoings would be punished. Ethan listened carefully. He felt proud to see his father fight not only for him, but for the country. It was a new chapter for their family and for the nation. Ethan also returned to his work on the invention that had started it all. With support from scientists and engineers, he improved his program to make the internet safer. His invention now had the chance to help millions. The world began to notice Ethan's talent and courage. Invitations came from universities, technology companies, and government agencies. They wanted to learn from him and work together. Despite the attention, Ethan remained humble. He remembered the hard days in prison and the friends who helped him survive. He wanted to give back and help others who faced unfair challenges. Marcus and Lila became his close partners. Together, they started a foundation to help young people who were wrongly accused or treated unfairly. Their goal was to bring hope and support to those in need. David continued his work as Attorney General with renewed strength. He made sure that justice was fair for all, not just for the powerful. His fight with the tech company was a reminder that no one was above the law. Country began to change. People trusted their courts more. Technology became safer and more open. And most importantly, hope grew in the hearts of many. Ethan and his family knew the journey was not over. There would always be challenges ahead. But they were ready to face them together. In the quiet moments, Ethan often thought about the future. He dreamed of a world where truth and kindness guided everyone's actions. A world where no innocent person would ever suffer alone. His story had touched many lives. It showed that courage, honesty, and love could overcome even the greatest obstacles. Ethan looked at the sky and smiled. The road had been long and difficult, but it had led him to a place of peace and promise. Justice was not just a word. It was a light that could shine in the darkest places. And Ethan Keller was ready to help that light grow.